The Argentinian musician, instrument builder and VSTi coder Gustavo Valletto is the man behind Solcito Música. His VSTs and VSTis have been mentioned, described and praised in magazines like Music, Computer Music and Keys magazine and others. In numerous live acts with bands, Gustavo plays his VST synths live on stage. His development of hardware synths is focused on DIY projects, which he offers with the detailed documentations. He gives workshops in Argentina and cooperates with technical universities on the field of sound electronics, in which he focuses on using easily accessible components. Gustavo has been developing his own special synthesizer called Torturator for decades. The most recent version of this synthesizer is Torturator Xhugha. But Gustavo is also an educator, and as such he has made a software called SynTeacher, which helps students to understand the principles of electronic sound generating and sound processing, as well as teach them how to operate complex synthesizers. And here he is, Gustavo Valletto.
Hello, Gustavo. How are you?
Hi, Rolf. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
How are you?
Yeah, well, quite fine, quite fine. The weather is horrible here in Central Europe, but never mind. Okay, let's dive into it. My first question is about something what fascinated me at once when I saw your website, and this is your hardware project Torturator. Can you tell me a little bit about it? What is it? What is it different? How has it developed over the years? I think nearly 30 or 40 years you are developing it, right?
Okay. The main difference of my design on Torturator, in front my own early designs were my first calculation. My early buildings or organs were copied from magazines when I was a teenager. But next time I started studying at the university, and I acquired certain knowledge on electronics, and Torturator, it was made and still being my first design and building. Hey again, Rolf. I will tell you about why the Torturator is called Torturator. At that time, when I built the first Torturator, at 1986, 87, I lived in a house rented with another friends, students, and there's at the back of the home there's a small room with sound disorder and my tools, solder and so, to build my electronic circuits. At the same time, in my country, it was released the first film of the Terminator saga. And at the same time, again, it was installed at my head, at my brain, the name of a famous synthesizer of that time, that was Emulator. And imagine, of course, when I constructed, when building Torturator, I generated a lot of sounds. Some were nice sounds, and some other were not nice sounds. All the time, all my free time, doing and generating sounds of all kinds, and some hours tonight. My friends said, this is a torture for us. Those sounds are a torture for our ears. And I thought, what a better name for that synth than Torturator. It has no wave selector.
Ah, yes.
It just have a square wave, or better to say, pulse wave generator. But it has another way to generate different waves. And these are a device that I call it Octavizer. Octavizer in this case is a digital division of the original frequency of the oscillator, always divided successively by 2, and it generates about 4 or 5 octaves that, when they are mixed by the user can get several waves, including an approximation to the sawtooth wave.
I see.
And
I see.
Yes.
So it's
that's a difference.
It's a kind of, let's say, additive technique.
Yes, it's a kind of additive. Yes, it is an additive. No with sine, but with square waves.
Yeah. What makes it rich, of course, in spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. A simple question: are you selling these, or are you selling do-it-yourself sets of Torturator?
I don't know sell it. Just I share the diagrams.
Yes.
And this is a good story when growth the social network that allows me to share and work that before them where I felt alone. And today I can to share, and it's a nice work.
I see. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So you are sharing all drafts. You are sharing the layout of the boards and things of that, but you are not selling pieces and components.
No. Until now, no. I have a dream. From young, I dreamed to make a factory, but by different reasons, I still make that's this humble project with another that the target is to share and to give to beginners or DIYers to make any different way to make a synthesizer.
I see. Are there any technical explanations you share with the drafts and with the layout?
Technical explanations.
So are you helping beginners or beginner DIYers to understand what they are doing?
Yes. My idea is the philosophy of Torturator is it's always will bring a prototype, and every time that a new that appears a new builder, it will add a new circuit.
Yes,
and
I see.
The idea is to minimize, to be the most simplest possible circuit to add to it.
Yeah.
That in that way we can make it easy to build despite the electronic knowledge. I learned electronics, but there's a lot of builders in DIY culture that has a lack of or very little knowledge about electronics.
Yes.
But they enjoyed building.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sure. It included me a bit.
Have you
Okay.
built one?
Sorry?
Have you built a synthesizer?
I've built several modules for modular synthesizers according to the Eurorec standard. But simple ones, audio mixers, signal mixers, clock generators, buffered multiples, and things like that. So
I will explore more your web, or I want to see it then.
Yeah, yeah, perhaps, but I can't change the camera. Next time, perhaps. I can't move the camera. It's a little bit fixed installation here. By the way, you mentioned it. You have studied. You are a studied technician, and you make music. What is the relation of these two, let's say, of these two souls in you? And I ask because I know a couple of people having the same or a similar background, and they all ended up as sound designers for game or advertisements. So can you tell me a little bit about what is your technical side, your technical heart, and where is your musical heart?
Mine is at all heart, passion. I don't know what is the reason, but I built them. I just know I enjoy a lot doing it. Sometimes, obviously, I want to give to the world of music any new way. So not only to copy that they are already built. And my idea is to give to the people any more from my humble knowledge about it and how to build any little different. And so I enjoy. That is the one reason. And I think when I designed the Torturator, the first Torturator, in example, to generate the typical waves, you know, saw, triangle, sine, pulse, it was very hard for me. But thanks to that lack of knowledge that I needed, I built that module optimizer that, like you said, it's like an additive module, and it improved the synthesizer in another way, and it appears to be works.
Yeah, how would you describe yourself? More a technician or more an artist and musician?
Well, at our age, we might change like in a teenager age. I was a technician. I have a lack of knowledge about music. For example, I have no school on music, but in the aspect of techniques, I studied at the university, electronics engineering. I am not engineering, but I was to course it 4 or 5 years at a nice university. In English, is called National Technological University of Córdoba. Córdoba is the center of Argentina, and at that time I found some universities, and the only that had a nice laboratory, it was that university. A nice and big laboratory with a lot of tables, with power units, and all the tools to build anything. I fallen in love with that university from scratch, and started with Torturator there.
Yeah, good. Let's change from hardware to software. You are really a famous character in the scene for producing great VSTs, great software musical equipment. You are mentioned in a lot of, as I have explained before, mentioned in a lot of magazines. What did you make starting with software? When you make a hardware synth, I see the joy and the fun of working with the equipment and the things and the parts. I love it as well. I can completely understand. But why suddenly software?
Okay, software, it was a novelty for me. I started with it just a few 10 years ago. And we can, as all the musicians, we can discuss during centuries about software is better, analogs, and now digital is required. I have not discussed this theme. I just, as I said, I found a magic way to make a lot of things that were so hard to build in hardware. Hardware is nice, of course, that some reasons to get physical synthesizers, no matter that humble and improvised it can be, it's nice for us and for the people that will use it. But software, we can bring to me to do a lot of devices that I can't build in hardware due my lack of knowledge means. And another important thing, software can be sent by the web to anybody.
Yeah.
And are so cheap to acquire a lot of people that has talent but has no money to buy them.
Yeah, sure. That's an aspect. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
There are quite a lot of VSTs out there already. So why why building another one? Did you miss something? Was it just trying to come into this field, in this area of software synths, or did you miss a certain thing, or did you say, wow, I can make it better or nicer even? A lot of people buy things or use things because they look nice. Let's be serious about this, it's fact. Yeah? So what was your motivation to say, hey, here is the big field and market of VSTs, and here is my version of this market?
Yes, the main reason is I can contribute to give a new way to do perhaps the same things, but it's a new way. The user will get a new result.
Yeah, sure.
I like a lot to make new instrument, but I do not mean that are bad to emulate them. I like a lot emulation, but I like to build not emulated from my own designs. I want to be clear in this. Emulation are so nice and give a lot of advantage to the users that can't access to the original ones lots of times. And I am personally, I thanks to the people that design, that build emulation, because myself, I knew certain famous synthesizers thanks to the emulations. We can discuss later if the emulations are so good or sounds bad, but the architecture is the sum of the original, and I think that are important. But when I build new instrument, no imitations. And why? Well, like I said, I think in new ways to make sounds, and the ergonomics is an obsession for me.
I agree fully. Yeah, sure. 100%
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw several nice sounds on big works, but I can understand the workflow to make a new sound, to research how the synthesizer works. And every time I am designing a graphic or putting a new knob or selector or to delete it, I think what will be the benefits, the advantage and disadvantage to put it or to delete it. It may be friendly, so the user not only understands the workflow to make sound, I want to the user takes advantage of 100% of the synthesizer.
I get you. Yeah, there is one concept I've seen or discovered in some of your software synths. That's the concept of aging. May you explain a bit? What is this aging? Is it just vintage sounding, or tell me a little bit about it?
Yes, as we know, it sounds for our brain, for our mind, sounds great. It's not a technical concept, but because we can to ask how a bad sound is more bad than the actual sound, but it sounds beautiful. It's a good question, but there's a lot of people that designed a so big project on effects to make the sounds older. In my job is not a scientist researching. It's just a bit of calculation, and they are just three resources to make the sounds older. One of them is detuning, small detuning, little detuning. Another one is to change the frequency response about the spectra, a filter that less high frequencies, and apply distortion, certain subtle little distortion to the waves. So the waves, this is important to our ears. A typical example of the most used wave in all synthesizers were the sawtooth. In digital world, you now is a right line. Technical is better. The harmonics are it has better distribution and relation, but for the ear, it's different. Applying the distortion, we can make more curved, like the capacitors that charge and discharge of capacitors that were used on hardware constructions. And that I don't remember what's the third thing that I used in it. I said detuning, detuning, distortion, and affected to makes less high frequencies, and that three, we say, parameters can be tweaked together with that one knob to make less or more not noticeable the effect with an indication of the ear. That's all.
So, yeah, okay, interesting. So meaning the user has not to deal with the relation of these three aspects. He has just one knob or one slider, and how this knob and slider mixes these three things together. This is part of the system and not of the front elements of the user.
Yes,
I see.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's musical. That's a very musical approach.
Thank you.
Yeah. No. You are working with Flowstone, right?